So the other week, we discussed how John Bolton gave a speech where he declared the United States is above rule of law. I wish I was exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. And now we have President Numbnuts decided to follow in his footsteps and give basically the same speech, but this time to the UN. So let's watch, and then we'll come back and break it down. And just keep in mind what our reaction would be if any other country that's our enemy gave a speech like this at the UN.
I spoke before this body last year and warned that the UN Human Rights Council had become a grave embarrassment to this institution, shielding egregious human rights abusers while bashing America and its many friends. Our ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, laid out a clear agenda for reform, but despite reported and repeated warnings, no action at all was taken. So the United States took the only responsible course. We withdrew from the Human Rights Council, and we will not return until real reform is enacted. For similar reasons, the United States will provide no support in recognition to the International Criminal Court. As far as America is concerned, the ICC has no jurisdiction, no legitimacy, and no authority. The ICC claims near universal jurisdiction over the citizens of every country, violating all principles of justice, fairness, and due process. We will never surrender America's sovereignty to an unelected, unaccountable global bureaucracy.
So imagine that Iran, Hassan Rouhani, the head of Iran, said all those exact same things. What would the reaction be? Iran will never turn over its sovereignty to an unelectable, unaccountable bureaucracy, international bureaucracy. We'd never do that. You'd say, oh, rogue state. That's what you are. You're a rogue state. Listen, Donald Trump ran as the law and order candidate. This is the height of irony, hypocrisy, and absurdity, what we just saw. You don't get to run as the law and order candidate and then snub ultimate law and order. International law doesn't apply to us. Why? Because, I don't know, you guys are accurately calling us out. And make no mistake about it, that's exactly what this is over. So the International Criminal Court, I think they were supposed to look into, maybe take a look at what happened with the Iraq War and the Bush administration and Cheney and Rumsfeld and Bush and see what happened. And, of course, it's when they decide to look into us, we flip out. Even though it is perfectly legitimate to look into that. Guys, that was an illegal war. It was an illegal war. You would have to get approval from the UN. We didn't get approval from the UN. We did an offensive war against a country that didn't attack us. We killed minimum 200,000 civilians. Then we permanently occupied that country, and we ordered torture to cover it up. Think some crimes were committed? Methinks just a little bit. So, what do you do when you're caught and there's no way out and you know that you're guilty? Go on the offense. That's what they're doing. Oh, this is a sham court. This isn't a real court. Funny, whenever the International Criminal Court goes after our official state enemies, we love it. By the way, the overwhelming majority of the convictions are against African dictators. So weird how that works. How when it's, powerful countries, rich countries, keep it real, majority white countries, all of a sudden, this is a sham. We're not giving up our sovereignty. Again, what if an African dictator said that? You'd be like, fuck off. You're guilty. Hey, you deserve justice here. So it's amazing. He ran as the law and order candidate, and he's against ultimate law and order and international law, and the Geneva Conventions and the Nuremberg Tribunal and the International Criminal Court. And then, okay, so now let's get to the UN Human Rights Council. He called it an embarrassment. Now, that's a point where I agree with him. But you want to know why it's an embarrassment? Because of us. because we were on it, and because Saudi Arabia, who beheads people in the public square for sorcery and witchcraft and apostasy and drug smuggling, and they were on it. That's why it was an embarrassment. But notice, we're not angry and taking our ball and going home because of that. We're angry and we're taking our ball and we're going home because of this. Little slappy slap on Israel's wrist. Oh, are you guys doing permanent apartheid and illegal occupation and illegal settlements nonstop? Well, I mean, you should probably stop that. Oh, how dare you, sir? How dare you accurately call out us and our allies? We're now leaving. I mean, that's what happened. So, I just need everybody to understand something. This is the United States declaring we are above the law. We're above the law. Our allies are above the law. Rule of law does not apply to us. And then we have the nerve to turn around and say, oh, we have to militarily intervene everywhere because we care about human rights. Oh, we care about human rights. You do know, if we actually cared about human rights, the first thing we would do is arrest all the torturers and the war criminals that were in the Bush administration. The first thing. Say, hey man, listen, justice is blind. Doesn't matter who committed a crime, we're gonna bring justice. So if it's our guys, fair enough. I told you we believe in human rights. We believe in human rights. We're arresting them. We're not going to do that. We did the exact opposite. So this is all about is power play. That's what this is. We have the money. We have the power. We have the most we have the strongest military the world has ever seen ever. So you can fuck right off if you want to come after us. That's not going to happen. And I think the thing that annoys me the most is as we snub law and order, Trump will then turn around and pretend like he's the ultimate arbiter of law and order, and he upholds justice, and he cares deeply about human rights. And I'm just sick of the hypocrisy of the United States. I'm sick of it. And I'm also mad that this got zero coverage in mainstream media, and the thing that got all the coverage was the UN laughing at him. Now, I'm not saying that's not a story. I covered it. I think it's definitely a story. But to not discuss this part of it is borderline fucking criminal of mainstream media. You have a thin-skinned lunatic buffoon like Donald Trump, who you accurately call a thin-skinned lunatic buffoon. But when he declares the U.S. is above the rule of law, oh, our thin-skinned lunatic buffoon saying we're going to have no accountability when we commit crimes? Oh, what? That's totally fine. That's not a story. That's a gigantic story. It's a gigantic scandal, and you're not treating it that way.